What's the maximum that a person could, like, how much marijuana? Like, you're talking about building this building, right? This grow house.
A legal grow?
Legal grow.
Well, we're allowed to do 22,000 square feet. In my place, we're estimating that we'll be growing anywhere from 1,200 pounds to about 2,100 pounds.
Right.
Every 2 months, 2.5 months.
Right. But if you load all that onto a private jet and fly it somewhere and dump it all off at a profit,
then you're in violation. You're in violation of the law.
You're in violation.
Correct.
So people have to realize that it's not just a free for all.
No.
You got to pay taxes. Let's not forget the tax rate on marijuana
has to be tested.
Has to be tested.
Yep. So it's still regulations.
Right. Because I remember, when I first moved to California, when I moved back to California, this was like around 2013. 2013? Yeah. You would go to a dispensary, and they would have jars, right?
Yeah.
They'd have a big jar of OG
That was
Kush.
just 3 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
They just stopped
They'd
that.
have
recently.
a jar of whatever, purple haze. They'd have whatever. They'd open up the jar, take a scooper.
Or stick their hand in it.
Stick their hand in.
I don't
right.
think they stick
without
their hand
gloves. Grab a handful of buds, throw it on the scale, and keep it moving.
That's how it is in Detroit right now.
Not anymore, though.
Detroit is still.
Well, Detroit's like that, but everywhere else,
Oklahoma is
that
like
shit got
that.
a seal. You got to break
Not in
the
Oklahoma
seal.
either. They behind.
They're behind.
Yeah, they still behind.
Yeah, it's very
It's still
much,
like Oregon.
Yeah.
I think Oregon is doing that. California, Seattle, Washington. I mean, it's a few states that is doing it right, but a lot of them are still. They caught in old. They haven't. Their system hasn't caught up yet. I mean, even with our system here, it's still not the way that it's going to eventually have to get in order to make the marijuana work the way they want it to work.
Is there going to be like a Philip Morris that just essentially gobbles everyone up, and is going to be this huge $1 trillion corporation that essentially controls everything? Because because there's Constellation Brands and there's different public companies, but I feel like it's still somewhat of a mom and pop kind of operation. Someone comes up with a cool strain, and the strain takes off.
Yeah, somebody's going to learn how to organize it.
Yeah,
somebody will organize it. It's still unorganized right now.
Yeah.
Most of the people who are making money were the growers, and growers are not really marketers or sellers. I don't know. I get a really good view of the system, because I get to go to the growers' farms, and then I get to go in all the dispensaries all around California, and I do my little signings at the dispensary. So I'm getting a really good bird's eye view of the system. So with that, comes a plan. I get to map out what I see and how I see it going. But yeah, I believe that somebody will eventually consolidate the business, and be able to go to the state and help them with the regulations of how it should be ran. One of my favorite things when I do my seminars out of town is, you got people making regulations who never smoked marijuana and never sold marijuana,
right?
But they're making regulations.
Yep.
I don't think that that's possible. How could somebody that knows absolutely nothing about it make the regulations for it? So I do believe that there is going to be somebody who comes in and puts the whole thing together.
Yeah. Which will probably just make the experience better for everyone.
Absolutely. Well, that's the whole thing.
It'll make it cheaper. It'll make it safer.
If you're not trying to make it better for the customer, then you're doing something wrong.
Exactly.
And right now, the people who are running the system just don't know. They're out of touch. They sit back in their big offices and they collect, bundles of money and they think that the world is hunky dory. They don't hear the cries in the dispensaries.
Well, I had Boosie on my show recently, and we talked about the various rappers who are facing RICO charges. And he kind of broke down how the feds clout chase just like everybody else.
Of course.
And
I told you that before.
Yeah.
That they got a list.
Yeah.
And they go by the names. Oh, number 1, we can't catch him. Number 2, number 5 is slipping. So absolutely.
You yourself had a RICO case, right?
I did in LA. They dropped it though.
Okay. So you never got convicted of RICO?
No.
Okay. So you yourself have never been convicted of a RICO, but you faced RICO.
Yeah, I got indicted for RICO.
Is that the scariest thing that you could face in the legal system?
Not this 851 is just as bad.
That's continuous
Continuous criminal
enterprise, CCE, right? But it's up there.
Yeah, I mean,
RICO, CCE.
they both carry a life sentence. So what's the difference?
What's the difference, right?
You don't care what the number is.
And we went through some of these cases. Me and Boosie, we're talking about this, and it's like he calls it rapper RICO, where the feds know damn well this rapper is not the head of is not a kingpin of some, criminal enterprise. This is a rapper.
When you running a criminal organization, you can't be on go whenever. That's not a RICO. They should name they shit rapper RICOs. Y'all give it rapper RICOs. Man, you cannot do it, bro. You cannot. I know about criminal bosses, how they run empires. I know how shit go, Vlad. Us as rappers can't control, we cannot do that. Niggas get RICOs for having handshake.
They're doing shows every week. They're going to the studio. They're going to events. They're not running a drug operation on the side. Now, are they around some people that may be doing it? They're old friends from their neighborhood and so forth? Possibly. Are they actively involved? Usually not. But the feds will still throw them in that RICO, just like they're one of the shooters or something like that.
Well, I don't know. The feds are a little more sophisticated than that. They're going to have an overt act. In the feds, in order for you to get indicted, you have to have an overt act.
What's that?
An overt act is something that you did to further the conspiracy. And an overt act could be something as simple as, oh, here are my keys. You're going to get 50 kilos. Here's my keys. That's an overt act.
That's simple.
That's an overt act.
That will give you life in prison.
Well, no, you won't get a life sentence in prison if it's only 50 keys.
But if it's a murder,
you'll be looking at like 20.
Still.
Right, because that overt act, whatever that overt act was that you allowed your assistants and see with overt act, you don't have to necessarily even be going to benefit from the overt act.
Wow.
But what they say is
it could just be a favor for someone else.
Yeah, without your assistance, that act wouldn't have happened.
Okay, so for example, Biggs, one of the the three people that started Rockefeller Records, he went to jail. He went to prison for marijuana. And I had him break down what happened. And essentially what happened was he had one guy who wanted to buy a bunch of marijuana. He knew another guy that wanted to sell a bunch. He just connected them on a three-way call.
That's over that.
Right? Just
that's all I did.
Not anything that he even benefited from. Like, he was already rich. They had already sold Rockefeller Records. He was basically just chilling. But he was just doing a favor for a friend, not knowing one of the friends was.
That's the same thing I got a life sentence for.
That's what I'm saying. And he did, I forgot how many years he did, but he did a few years.
Yeah, but that's the same thing I went to prison for.
Just connecting two people.
They call it the broker.
The broker.
Yeah, you brokered the deal.
Right. But in his case, I don't think he was financially benefiting from it.
It don't matter.
In your case, you were.
Yeah, I was going to benefit.
Right.
But it don't matter.
It don't matter. Does it?
It's not the benefit that carries the time. It's the fact that without your assistant, without you being in the middle, bringing these two people together, the deal never would have took place. And that's the overt act. So now your overt act might be one overt act in a list of 40 overt acts. Now, it's according to how much you've done. Now, if you have participated even more, where, say, for instance, you gave them the initial $10,000 to do the rest of the overt acts, then yes, you fit right in with everybody else.
Yeah, scary stuff. It's scary stuff.
When you don't know the law.
When you don't know the law.
But if you know already, you know what you're stepping into, and you know that, you know, you put yourself in the middle.